Hi, this video is aimed at owners, private equity groups, or personal owners of mid-sized businesses who want to add at least $10 million next year to the value of your business. So let's start with the obvious of how a business is valued. Generally, they're just, well, they take some measure of cash generated, normally EBITDA, and apply a multiple. And the area of those is the valuation of your business. So say it generated 20 million EBITDA and had a multiple of 5, that would be 100 million. So well, we should then small to medium-sized businesses, well, even giant business actually, you then need to discount the risk. So shade off. So this area here is the value of your business. So how do you go about, as I faff around here trying to get, so this is the area of your business. EBITDA times multiple less terrible some sort of risk discount. And I'm glad I wasn't given a job interview of just take the top off this highlighter. So here we go, and gold or yellow is for the value. So how do you add an extra 10 million? Well, basically you want to push EBITDA. The most obvious and simplest way of doing that is actually to improve your sales. You could also improve your gross margin. Or third, you could actually cut operating costs, which we'll come on to. So any of those strategies boost your EBITDA. So if you like that. Now, multiple. So they're generally benchmarked against your sector and geography. I'll put a link to the professor at finance at New York Stern University has got all the benchmarks of all the quoted companies by sector, geography and size around the world. So you can check out for there. Anyway, let's see what could we do. So one, obvious, push the EBITDA by improving your sales performance. Maybe a little bit of cost reduction in there and margin improvement. And then you want to improve your multiple. So you could be like Hotel Chocolat in the UK. This is not investment advice, but that was a great business. Make the most delicious chocolate in the UK, one of the most delicious in the world actually. And they were overwhelmingly based in retail shops. And they were very smart at putting them in major rail centres. Great idea to get a fabulous tasting box of chocolates for whoever you're going to visit on the way home. So very popular in the core family. So they have been working hard on growing, particularly since lockdown, as all their retail distribution was totally wrecked, by building up their online distribution. So if you go from just a pure declining shops at least in the COVID era, that will give you a low multiple. But if you can open up new channels, that will allow you to push your multiple. And the additional area is the value created. So relatively straightforward to add 10 million to your valuation. Well, there are various strategies. Some are easy peasy, some of them are very difficult. So I've attempted to map the most common strategic options that companies adopt to grow their value. I should cut to the chase. The most obvious and most straightforward is top line sales growth. If you can push that forward, not only do you get a much greater EBITDA, but second, as that growth curves upwards, you'll end up with a higher multiple. So it's a double whammy. What's there not to like? So sales top line growth I would give that strategy, if I could pull the top off this green highlighter, that strategy is a green. That should be the number one that you consider to drive valuation in the year ahead. Now, there are some that are extremely high risk. So loads of these HR people and give you things of going on cultural change and loads of flim flam of how easy it is or profound it is, and our business is built on people. I would invite you just to go to, I was going to say unfairly McDonald's. They do a great effort of telling everybody the calories, but hypothesis, the BMI may be greater than average. That's a totally unsubstantiated, unscientific thing. But if you know fat people, they know they're fat. They need to lose weight, but it's bloody impossible. I did work with some of the top pharma companies in America, and people struggled to take their life-saving medicine for 90 days. So I would put cultural change, a big red. If someone's talked you into spending 7 million on those, I should watch out. One, you most probably, in my opinion, wasted your money. And number two, if you're on the hook to the board or your owners to deliver value or operating profit improvement, you might be out of a job. Anyway, personal view there. So what are the other options you might think of? So procurement and cost cutting and outsourcing. So I would say they are relatively easy to low to moderate improvement. So in my experience, if for external spend, if it hasn't been you haven't gone through an exercise of rebidding that out, you could probably cost typically 9 to 13% of the price that you're paying for those services. And if you're in some tech related area, it could be, I don't know, 20, 50, 70% cost reduction as the prices there are coming down rapidly, way ahead of the company's willingness to charge you less for their services. So always a good thought to consider putting in a procurement cost reduction exercise. Relatively low risk, and just take that to the bank. It's down to how much of your spend is down to external services. That differs by sector. Similarly with outsourcing, so there's two areas. One, if you're in sectors where the salary structure tends to be quite high, banking, financial services, maybe even the telecom sector, you might be, well, compared to what's available, overpaying the staff for what you need to do. And outsourcers are much more ruthless at moving that money work offshore to low cost sectors. But they tend to be put into a competitive bid for the services. They underbid at a loss, and then they nickel and dime you and change the request all the way to get all their margin back and more. And it makes it a hell of a lot harder to put any change through. As well, I was going to reference some organisations at the moment in COVID time, but that would be unfair. But yeah, outsourcing, easy to save the money, but you are hamstringing your organisation for change and performance improvement going forward. So I would give that an orange. High risk. Brand building. I once was working with the number one in its sector globally, and their brilliant strategy. I was in the boardroom with the CEO and executive team of. They said, we're going to own the colour red. That's possibly the biggest load of. I was about to use a rude word there that I've heard in my life. I may have heard worse ones, but yeah, I should put that down. Probably down near zero, with the exception of yours doing luxury items. So if you're selling BMWs, iPhones, anything very expensive, brand building is at the heart of what you do and getting people to pay way more than the intrinsic value of the product. But in most cases, you're wasting your effort, and people can see through the bullshit straight away. So what does that deserve? Well, hard to do harm with brand building, but not a strategy I would encourage you. So what else have we got? M&A. That's like tossing a coin. You can acquire large jumps in sales at the top line, and you can acquire incredible capabilities to add to your company. But quite often, the old dinosaur then throttles the up-and-coming thriving business, and you spent a fortune to buy an empty shell. But anyway, M&A, quite an interesting strategy. Brilliant if pulled off successfully, but I think in the majority of cases it turns out to be highly value destructive. So you pay your money, you take your choice. Other ones, setting up new channels. So the most obvious at the moment, if you haven't got a big online presence or distributing through digital channels, you should get on it. So what's there not to like? You might be scammed by some tech company or outsourcer on fees, but commercially it's probably a good idea. So I'd consider that one. Opening up those new channels is pretty good. And customer experience, well, there's a lot of bullshit spoken about there, but definitely if you look at the drivers of causing cancellations or people not taking up your service, or just going on to Trustpilot and seeing what people actually say. So do know the chairman of one of the world's largest banks, and in my view they were getting a large amount of bullshit from internally, and I invited him to have a look at the Trustpilot comments on the bank service, and maybe have a chat with the CEO on areas they might improve. Anyway, I would certainly look at that as an interesting area. So what can we say in summation? If you want to drive up at least $10 million to your mid-sized company in terms of valuation in the next 12 months, I would focus on number one, sales, top line growth. That has to be a super duper place to start. And we'll come on to videos on how you can do that relatively straightforward. Avoid all these 12-month bullshit programs. If you're not seeing real results on the ground within 30 days, you have to wonder if somebody's played a bit of a scammy trick on you. Anyway, personal opinion there. So thanks for watching. Hopefully in each of the corners will be the follow-up videos, and I look forward to giving you some brilliant ideas for you to grow the value of your business in the year ahead. Thanks for watching. Bye.